Hey, I get to rip on somebody besides Warner Brothers and DC. So in case you haven't heard yet, a couple of things happened in pretty rapid succession. First, Warner Brothers pushed back Aquaman a few months. I have no opinion on that one way or the other. There was no word as to why they did it. It's just something that they did. That's fine. Almost immediately, Sony announced that the Venom movie that we kind of all assumed either wasn't going to happen or was now way on the back burner is now confirmed for the release date, the October of 2018 release date that Aquaman abandoned. Now, this is surprising for a few reasons, because like I said, I think a lot of us had assumed that if the project was not outright canceled, it wasn't going to be for a while, because we haven't gotten Spider-Man Homecoming yet, and the Vulture's set for that. That's not to say they couldn't seed Venom, but there'd been no indication of that, and this seems to be kind of tight. And they basically got 17 months to write it, get all the crew and cast lined up, shoot it, edit it, everything. That, if you're talking big budget, superhero related, that is a tight turnaround. Now, apparently there's already a screenwriter on it. It's the same screenwriter as Alien Covenant, which means I don't really have a basis to know if he's any good or not. Now, apparently Alex Kurtzman, who has been attached to this project since, before they decide to completely bail on the Amazing Spider-Man universe, he's still attached to direct. Whether or not that's a good thing is hard to say. I think we'll have a better picture of that when his Mummy movie comes out later this year. But overall, this just seems to be snowballing really fast, which is concerning to me, and actually it should not be that big of a shock, because I don't know if people remember this very well, but back before The Amazing Spider-Man started, Sam Raimi was in talks to direct Spider-Man 4. He was in talks for a while, and when those talks broke down and he ultimately decided not to make that with Sony, almost immediately Sony announced The Amazing Spider-Man reboot, new script, we're getting a director, new actor. It felt like out of nowhere, but it was very obvious they had been building this behind the scenes to just be able to take off like a shot when and if Raimi decided to bail. And I feel like in a lot of ways they've been quietly baking this Venom thing behind the scenes in much the same fashion. For whatever reason, they decided to now glom onto this release date now that Aquaman's off it. Now, a Venom movie in and of itself is a slightly iffy proposition for me. I mean, I like Venom. When I was a kid, I loved Venom, but I'm not a kid anymore. Is he still a popular character? I actually don't really have a good gauge on that. I mean, he's still around, but like a lot of long-lived characters with close ties to popular ones, he kind of gets a free ride. There's a lot of characters like that. I don't know how popular the guy would actually be considered to be at this point. So it seems odd that Sony has really been trying so hard to get him on screen for a while. Well, not on screen so much. I mean, connected to Spider-Man, sure, but as a solo feature. That still strikes me as weird. But all of this would just be kind of okay, that's just a little odd. That seems to be happening fast sort of thing. If it wasn't for one big thing, which is that every indication right now is that this will have zero to do with not only the MCU as a whole, but even with Spider-Man Homecoming. This is being developed as a completely standalone piece that will not connect to the MCU at all. So my immediate question is, what's the point? The reason Venom is anything to anybody is because of his connection to Spider-Man. And more to the point, the most popular version of Venom, which is Eddie Brock, he is the best known and best loved version of Venom, only works in connection to Spider-Man on both levels, because there's two halves to Venom. You've got the alien suit, and you've got whoever it's attached to. And in the case of Eddie Brock, both of those things are directly tied to Spider-Man in a way that you can't really separate them, because what gravitates Eddie, in his hatred and motivates him as a villain is his hatred of Spider-Man. The reason the suit gloms onto him in the first place instead of anybody else is not only just that he was there, but the reason it bonds with him and sticks with him is their shared hatred of Spider-Man. The suit having been rejected by Spider-Man after being his suit for a while. So again, both halves of this character in its most popular version requires Spider-Man. What on earth makes them think anybody would care without a Spider-Man connection? And that's not even me saying you can't do a Venom solo movie. You could do a Venom solo movie. I just don't see how you could do it in a way that anybody would give a damn about unless you seeded it with Spider-Man somewhere along the line. I mean, I understand there are alternate versions of Venom at this point. A lot of different people have had the suit. You know, recently there was the whole Agent Venom thing, which I had a conversation with Ryan Daly months back where I kind of floated the idea that maybe if they were going to go Venom solo, that would be the way they'd have to do it, because that seemed more detached from Spider-Man specifically. But even if you remove Spider-Man from the origin, the connection to Spider-Man is a big part of the iconic look of the suit. I mean, the symbol, the big white spidery thing in the middle, the reason that's there is because it has a relation to Spider-Man. That's the reason it looks like that. If he has no connection to Spider-Man, or if Spider-Man doesn't even appear to exist in the universe of this standalone movie, why would it look like that? And if you design it to look like anything else, then it's not Venom. So what is this? And I'm sure there are some people out there wondering, how is Marvel allowing them to do this? They're not. Marvel doesn't have say over this. So far as we understand, the agreement that Marvel and Sony reached was for shared custody of Spider-Man and for Marvel to help oversee and guide Spider-Man solo films. All the other Spider-Man affiliated characters that Sony has the rights to make movies of, they're under no obligation to consult with Marvel at all. So as long as they disconnect it from the MCU, they can do whatever they want with Venom, the Sinister Six. They could still make that Aunt May being a spy in the 60s movie if they really wanted to do it. And they wouldn't need Marvel's approval. They wouldn't need Marvel's say-so. That said, if they go this way, I have to wonder if that's going to sour the relationship between Sony and Marvel. I really have to wonder if right now there's a lot of angry or harsh phone calls being made between executives going, what the hell are you doing, between Marvel and Sony. And again, Sony's completely within their rights to do this. They have the privilege. I just don't understand why they would. I mean, do they not understand that the reason anyone is excited about Spider-Man anymore is because of they're linking to the MCU and what they were able to build with Tom Holland with the help of Marvel. That's the only reason anyone is still interested in the new Spider-Man movie coming out, because people were kind of done with Amazing Spider-Man after that second one. So why would they immediately relaunch into this thing that nobody seemed excited for? The only thing I can think of is that this is a move of desperation, because Sony is not in a great place in terms of getting stable tent poles going, because Amazing, Spider-Man, with Spider-Man solo movies, they have to share. At the very least, they're sharing custody and some degree of creative control with Marvel. Whether or not there's profit sharing involved in that, I don't know. I don't think that was made public. But regardless, they've got to share the toy somewhat. If they want something completely under their control, they haven't been having a great run of luck. They had Ghostbusters last year. That was their bid for their next big franchise. It didn't take off. So I think maybe what happened is the executives in Sony just got antsy. They were sitting on these things like, but we've had all these plans and let's just do it. Nothing says we can't, let's just do it. Well, common sense says you can't. And I'm just gonna, for a quick second, acknowledge it has been suggested, and if this were the case, it would be kind of cool. Of course, now if it is the case, it's been spoiled by speculation, but there's a movie coming out that is a Sony movie called Life, and if you've seen the trailers, it's like this little tiny bit of life discovered on Mars, takes over this satellite, and it's growing and spreading. We haven't gotten a good look of it beyond it's this little thing and it's somehow growing and spreading, but it was suggested that this might be a secret Venom origin movie, and honestly, that'd be kind of cool. I doubt it. I would be shocked if it is, but I'll tell you what, I bet you right now there are a whole bunch of Sony executives going, crap, we should have thought of that. But a Venom movie in 17 months coming out. Does anybody think this is a good idea? Does anyone think this is going to be anything other than really painful? Whatever your thoughts are on the whole situation, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher. And until next time, this council is adjourned.